Good morning, everyone. And
Hi.
hi. I know I can't hear you because you have been muted. Um, just a reminder, you will need a strap today. So this would be a good time to go get a belt or a strap, a yoga strap, whichever you have available. And I did see some people sitting on the floor as you were setting up. You can either sit in a chair or on the floor. Either is just fine. And I do like to do a brief reading every week, and I will try to keep it brief because I know some of you have already heard some of this, but I think it's important because yoga for healthy aging, as I've mentioned, is not just something that I made up. It's actually a whole system and a book and something that I took a lot of training in. So I just wanted to talk about the fact that these authors, Baxter Bell and Nina Zolotov, who are the founders of the system, talk about the rich and long history of yoga. We have a very large collection of techniques and concepts, let's call them tools, to draw on for our practice. And they have chosen specifically just a select few that they think are specifically valuable for fostering healthy aging and lifelong well-being, let's hope. And those are, and many of you have heard this before, but just to repeat briefly, the four tools that they focus on are the poses, which is, after all, is what we spend most of our time doing in this hour together. The poses, breath practices, meditation, and yoga philosophy. So these are the tools that they focus on as being most helpful for fostering healthy aging. And today I'm just going to read very briefly about breath practices, also known as pranayama. We do practice breath awareness every week when we sit at the beginning of class. It provides a simple way to trigger the relaxation response. But what we're talking about here with pranayama or other breath practices, you can actually change your breathing patterns to provide you with a key to your nervous system, allowing you to calm, stimulate, or balance yourself. Practices that slow your breath or lengthen your exhalations. We've all heard that expression, take a deep breath to calm yourself down, right? Well, there's a basis in fact. When you lengthen your exhalations or slow your breath, it's calming to your nervous system. So they're especially useful for both acute and chronic stress. For acute stress, lengthening your exhalation can help you be in the moment to dial down an inappropriately strong stress response. For chronic stress, something that's going on a lot of the time, slowing your breath or lengthening your exhalation allows you to spend quality time in the rest and digest state. So we'll do a little bit of that towards the end of the class. For now, I invite you to come to your seat, wherever that is, either on the floor, in a cross-legged position, or in your chair. And we will practice right now just breath awareness, not changing anything, simply finding physical stillness. And drawing your attention inward to focus on your breath. Certainly close your eyes while you do this. And I did get the feedback last week, excuse me, that my voice was a little soft for some people. So while you sit in your silence, I'm not going to talk anymore, but I will check my volume. If your mind has wandered, Maybe you're hearing noise in your surroundings and your mind has slipped off to notice that. Maybe you're thinking about something that you do later today or something you did earlier this morning. If any of those thoughts intrude, acknowledge them. You can even tell yourself, this is a thought, label it as that, and it'll be there for you when you finish your yoga practice, gently coming back to notice the rhythm of your own breath. Paying particular attention to the inhales and the exhales, noticing perhaps which is longer, if either. And then drawing your hands together to your heart center, gently press your palms towards one another. Slide those thumbs a little bit up the sternum to create more length. And into this space, we'll chant Om together 3 times. I hope you'll join me, breathing in. Om. Inhale, please exhale, release hands to lap, float eyelids open, come forward towards the front of your chair, or if you're seated on the floor, just remain exactly where you are. And whether on the floor or in the chair, find your seated mountain, meaning that your hips and your shoulders and your ears are aligned. If you're in the chair, knees will be pretty much directly over the ankles. You can take a look down, make sure that you can see your big toes so your knees aren't relaxing too much outward. There's a little bit of muscular engagement beginning, and we're going to begin our breath and movement linkage with a simple turn of the head. Take a nice full inhalation. And as you exhale, turn your head simply to the right. Come on back to center on the inhale. Exhaling left. Inhaling. Let's add a lift of the arm, opposite arm. And release that arm, center. Other arm lifts, head turns. Back to center and continue with your breath side to side. Your pace, as I've mentioned, I'm sure, may be a little bit different than mine. So go at the pace of your own breath. This is an element of breath awareness, linking it in your own way to your movement. The next time you've turned your head, I believe this is our second side, to the left, come back to center. And now place your fingertips, if you will, on top of your shoulders. We're going to do some side tilting. So you're going to lift your right elbow up towards the sky as the other elbow descends towards the hip. And it's not just a lift, it's actually a little bit of a crunch in the side body. So feel yourself contracting on the left side body as that top elbow lifts up even more. Come back up to upright. Same thing, second side, elbow towards hip. Feel that little crunch and lift the top elbow a little more. Come back to center. And elbow towards hip, elbow lifts back and forth with breath. You may be starting to feel some pretty distinct sensations in the side bodies as you find that little crunch and then a stretch as you come to the other side. Let's just do it one more time to each side. And coming back to stillness, just take some nice, easy elbow circles. Even though we're focusing on the elbows doing the circling, we're actually getting some nice movement into the shoulder joint, reversing that if you haven't already. And coming back to stillness, release hands to the lap if you're in the chair, and slide your feet back towards the rungs of the chair. Tilt your torso forward, find your hips crease. We want the forward fold to come from that point, not from the waist. And we'll use the momentum of the arms to inhale and exhale. Come all the way up to stand, arms lifting directly overhead. If you're sitting on the floor, just make your way up in any way that you comfortably can. Release arms down alongside the body. And breathe, find mountain pose. So in mountain pose, our feet are about hips distance apart. And you've got strong legs, as if you're drawing your kneecaps up towards your hips, really engaging those thigh muscles, arms long but relaxed beside the body. And you've got that same upper body alignment that you had when you were seated in the chair. Ears, shoulders, hips in alignment. Make sure you're not coming into rigidity. Find ease between ears and shoulders. And relax for mountain pose. We're going to use our straps right away today. So you can stand behind your chair. Maybe you don't need your chair. You can put it aside. I'm putting mine aside so that you can see me more clearly. And you're going to go quite wide on your strap, wider than your shoulders. Make that strap taut. Pull the two sides apart from each other and keep it taut throughout this sequence. Inhaling, lift the strap up towards the sky. And exhaling, release, bring it down. Don't release that tension you're creating on the strap. Inhaling, lift. Exhaling, release. Inhaling to lift. Exhaling, release. And of course, if you have any shoulder injuries, if this is causing discomfort, you can either put the strap aside or you can go a little bit wider. Maybe you're not going all the way to the crown of the head. So do what's right for you. And releasing the strap down again, let's go even wider. And we're going to bring that strap back behind us. So I'll turn to the side so you can see. So the strap goes up overhead and then back behind. Now make sure you're not jutting your ribs forward as you do that. Keep the ribs in and feel that sensation in the whole armpit chest area. In yoga, this is the area we call the armpit chest, but that's what we're looking for. Sensation without pain, of course. Breathe into this stretch. Straight arms. You might need to go a little bit wider, and maybe you're not where I am. Maybe you're a little bit higher. Maybe you're a little bit lower. Find that place with the sensation and pause. Inhale, lift again and release. Let the strap go a little bit lax and just pause, reconnect with your breath. We're going to use the strap again in a moment. So if you would please find that original spacing, not super wide, but wider than your shoulders. And we're going to lift the strap up. I'll back up, I hope you can, sorry, let me adjust my camera. You're going to lift that strap all the way up towards the crown of your head, or a little bit more forward, and step your feet wider apart. So you're almost forming the shape of a starfish. And we're going to take this into side tilts, keeping the strap taut, tilting over towards your left. Inhale towards your right. Inhale, keep that strap taut, we're not letting it go. And first side again. Inhale, exhaling here. One more time to each side. And coming back up to upright. Release, bring the strap down. You can step your feet back to a more standard mountain distance spacing. And let's do one more thing with the strap before we put it aside. So this time, the strap is coming back behind you. And you're taking a look down at your feet. I'm just turning to the side so you can see me. You don't need to turn to the side. And make sure your big toes are in alignment with each other. And your hands are about shoulder distance apart. If you have a yoga strap and you have a loop easily available to you, you can use the loop. Or simply, if you're using a household or piece of clothing belt, you can hold on at about shoulder distance. So either strapping around the wrists or holding. And we're going to come into chair pose with the hands or the wrists pressing outward. So keeping the arms exactly where they are, just sit back in your little invisible chair. Keep the chest lifting, the gaze slightly up, and come back up to upright. Let's do that again, sitting back, knees directly forward. Come back up to upright. We're going to add the arms. Let's just do the arm part. Elbows lift, straighten those arms back behind you, and release them down. Let's do that again. Elbows bend, you're still pressing outward into the strap. Extend the arms long and release them down. Let's put the two parts together, legs and arms. Bend knees, bend elbows. Lengthen arms, lengthen legs, and soften. Let's rest for a moment. We'll do that 2 more times. A little bit of tautness, pressing outward. Bend knees, sit back in your chair, bend elbows. Lengthen arms, lengthen legs. And release down. Last time. Bending, sit back in your chair. Bending elbows. And let's pause. Lengthen those arms now. You're sitting for a breath or 2 or 3 in chair pose. And lifting. Now putting that strap aside. Turn to face towards your chair, please. So you're facing the back of the chair. You don't need the blanket. It might come in handy later when we come down to hands and knees. So we'll do some half sun salutes, which most of you have done with me before. Inhaling, lift. Exhaling, here it is, chair pose. Just floating down into your chair pose. And now lengthening the backs of the legs, extending the heart forward. Bending again, arms out. Inhale, lift. Exhaling, hands come to the heart center. Let's do that again. Inhale. And exhale, sitting back in chair pose. Here's a change. Can you step your feet together so the toes are touching, the knees are touching, and we're going to bring this into a twist. So you're sitting back, In your little invisible chair, you're going to bring one hand across and the other hand to the low back and twist. Draw that top shoulder back. Your hand could also be on your thigh. Pause. Come on back to center. Let's lengthen the legs. Let the legs enjoy that mountain pose again before we take it to the other side. So remember, this is a little different than the way we usually practice. Feet are together, knees are together. Bending at the knees, back into chair pose, other side. Other hand comes across either to the thigh or to the chair and to the low back and twist. Pause. It's fine to do this with straight legs if you prefer. Come on back to center. Still in chair pose, arms release out to the sides. Here it is, float all the way up. Exhaling, hands come to the heart. And let's find mountain pose again. Breathe. And we're going to take our version of downward facing dog at the chair. So there will be an opportunity for you later in the class to do dog on the floor. But I always like to begin with our chair dog. It's a nice way to begin to warm up the muscles of the body. And we're going to take this, just take a quick look. So we're going to step the feet back. Everyone did this last week. We're going to pedal the feet, lifting one heel and then the other. And then we're going to take it into a chair version of plank. Swinging the hips forward, coming into, it's almost like turning mountain pose on an incline. And hinging back, and coming forward, and hinging back. If that troubles your wrists, I know a number of people in this class may have issues with their wrists, you can come to the wall, which might be more accessible for you. You can also do it from your forearms at the wall. So that's the two ways that you could take a little bit of pressure off your wrist if coming into plank is going to be troublesome for you. But let's all step back initially into our chair dog. Arms are long, feet are directly under hips, spine is long, and just enjoy that feeling of stretch in the back of the legs. And let's lift one heel, doesn't matter which one, and replace it, lift the other one. Do that a few times, alternating the lifts of the heels. Sorry about the noise. Hope you're not hearing that. That's landscapers next door. And pedaling one foot and then the other a few more times. Just enjoying the movement. Feeling the body beginning to open up, stretch, and warm. Happens quickly in this warm weather. And then coming to stillness, we're going to take it into our chair version of plank. So bringing your hips forward, find that long line, ears, shoulders, hips, knees, ankles in one line, and hinge it back. Find chair dog again. And bring it forward. We'll do it with the breath a few times. And releasing back, exhaling. One more time, inhaling into plank. Please hold your plank for a few breaths. It's not just about upper body strength, it's about posture and core engagement, so we're not getting droopy. Engaging abdominal muscles. And exhaling last time, coming back to dog. Bending knees, stepping yourself forward, and simply coming all the way back up to mountain pose, and turn so that your left hip is facing the chair and the foot is going to go right between the legs of the chair. Opposite foot steps back. So we're preparing for warrior two. I think last week we did warrior one when our hips were facing the chair. In warrior two, the hips are away from the chair. That's kind of the biggest difference. And place your hands on your hips. Notice if one hip is higher than the other. Find evenness as best you can. And then bringing your arms into a T position. Let's bend into the forward knee. This is a classical warrior two. And as you straighten the leg, lift the back arm. We'll turn our head as well. So initially looking out over the forward fingertips for our standard warrior two, and then lifting, looking towards center. And warrior two. Long arm, long leg. Warrior two. And lifting. And for the last time, we will hold warrior two. Gazing out over your fingertips if that feels comfortable for your neck. It's interesting, I think I've mentioned with Zoom, you can really see yourself and notice whether one arm is drooping or the two arms are in line with one another. Breathe. Coming back up to upright. Release the arms down for a moment. Don't change anything. We're going to go into another warrior pose from this exact position for the legs and feet. So pause for a moment. Come back to your breath. And warrior two again. This time, it's the left arm that lifts the other arm. Right arm slides down the leg for reverse warrior. And we'll just pause in reverse warrior. That back leg is straight, front leg bent, and you can look down towards your foot. That might feel pleasant for your neck, or you can stay in neutral. Some people might enjoy looking up towards inner elbow. Pause in your reverse warrior, whatever that is. Just a few breaths. Nice. I can see many of you beautiful. Thank you for turning your videos on. Those of you who have, that helps me. Come all the way back up. Straight legs, release both arms down. And we're going to, of course, come to the other side. You can simply turn and bring your other foot forward. I'll switch my chair. So opposite foot forward for most of you. I think this will be your right foot forward, hips not facing the chair but away. And it's a healthy step. The classical way of measuring your distance is to lift your arms and align wrists with feet. That might be a little too aggressive, so feel free to do whatever is comfortable, but try that, see how it feels. And we'll start with warrior two. Bending the knee, just feeling the shape of warrior two. Coming back up to upright, we'll add the turn of the head. And the lift of the back arm. And T position arms. Lift of the back arm. Straight legs here. Bending. And lifting. Last time, a brief hold in Warrior Two, gazing out over your right fingertips. You can take a look down at your knee, make sure that you can see your big toe. You don't want that knee winging in too much or out too much. And releasing, come all the way back up. Brief pause. And we'll come into our reverse warrior. Just reconnect with your breath. Especially in this warmer, very heavy, humid weather, the breath might be very different than it usually is. Just notice that. And for reverse warrior, now, T position arms again. Knee is bent, but this time the back arm, your left arm, is sliding down the leg as the opposite arm comes alongside the ear now, coming into your reverse warrior. Head can be in neutral. You might find it interesting to look down at your foot or up towards inner elbow. And coming all the way back up through Warrior Two, bent knee, straighten the leg, exhaling, release the arms. Turn all 10 toes forward. And we're going to take a little forward fold. So you can do this by bringing your forearms to the back of your chair, especially for taller people. This would be a good option. Some of you who might be feeling a little bit more bendy, stretchy in the backs of the legs by now can go down to the seat of the chair. Or perhaps even bringing palms to the earth and allowing the head to release. So you take what's right for you. We're looking to stretch the backs of the legs, keep the spine long, especially for those of you who have osteoporosis or disc injuries in your back. Keep it modest, don't go too far. We're looking for a sense of stretch in the backs of the legs. And relaxation. Forward folds are cooling poses. So good poses to practice in this weather. Find your forward fold wherever that is. And breathe. Focus on your natural breath. As the movement has stilled, maybe you'll notice the breath is beginning to slow a bit. And lifting your head first, finding that length in your spine. I see that some of you have come down pretty far, did come into a rounded spine, which is fine, but find the length in your spine again. Soften your knees and come all the way back up to upright. Step your feet together and let's all have the backs of the chairs facing us again. We'll come into a balance. So feet are, again, at hips width, not together, which many of you may have practiced in other styles of yoga. In Yoga for Healthy Aging, we use feet under hips, much more stable for the skeleton. And we're going to step the left foot forward and the right foot back. So it's not a warrior foot. The foot isn't coming to the floor. The toes of both feet are forward. And we're simply going to come into a lunge by bending the forward knee. Back leg is straight. And lengthen that leg. You can add arms, lifting arms or one arm. And releasing arms down. Leg long, bending now. Pressing the back heel back. And lengthening all. One more time, we'll take a little balance with the legs straight and the arms lifted. This might not feel too tricky. The more you lift the back heel, the more unstable it will be. And then you might notice a little wavering, all good. Great for balance, release arms down. And let's change it up a little bit. Now we're going to bend both knees. So that back knee bends too. Back knee bends, front knee bends. Arms alongside ears. And lengthen. Do it one more time, bending both. And lengthen. And we'll take the hold with the knees bent, the arms lifted. Pause. Could be one arm, could be neither arm. Really strengthening those leg muscles. And lift, lengthen. Step your feet together, or hips distance apart rather, find mountain pose. We'll have to reverse all that, of course. But take a few moments in mountain. And then second side. So now other foot comes forward. I believe this would be your right foot. Left foot steps back and find your traditional lunge. Front knee is bending, back leg is straight. Hips towards the chair. And arms alongside. Straighten legs, lift arms. Lunge position, back leg is straight in this first variation. Long legs. Lunge position, feel that back heel reaching towards the earth. Straight legs. And we'll pause for our balance. Legs long, arms long, back heel lifted. Breathe. And of course, some of you may be working with one or both hands down. If the back heel is released to the floor, that makes it more stable. That's another adjustment you could make. And release. We'll do it with both knees bent. So both knees bending now. Arms lift. Straighten legs, release arms. Both knees bend. Release. And last time, this will be the hold. Both knees bent, arms lifting. Of course, it could be hands on the chair for stability. Oh, my legs are trembling a little bit. We've really been working those quadricep muscles today. Trembling muscles are okay. Lengthen the legs. Step the feet towards each other. Find mountain pose. Standing tall. Breathe. And we are going to transition down to hands and knees. So if any of you have knee difficulties, don't want to be on hands and knees, we're going to be doing downward facing dog from hands and knees. So feel free to remain at your chair and take chair dog, just like we did earlier. So your downward dog could be here. For those of you who are fine on your knees, come on down to hands and knees. Set yourself up, please, in table pose. So in table pose, hands are under your shoulders, fingers are spread nice and wide, and your knees are under your hips. Let's stretch the left leg back behind, lift it up off the floor a little bit. So we'll do one thing before dog, and cross it over the opposite ankle. Replace it to the floor, look towards your back heel, and you'll feel perhaps a pleasant stretch in the left side body. Lift the foot up off the floor, come on back to center, replace it, knee down, second side. Extending right leg long now. Lift it up off the floor, cross it over the ankle, put it down on the floor and look towards that back heel. Gazing past your left shoulder towards your heel. Lift the foot up off the earth, bring it back to center. Replace the foot to the floor, knee to the blanket, and we will prepare for downward dog. So you're either standing and doing this at the chair or tucking in your toes. Bring your hands a little bit more forward of your shoulders if you're working on the floor. So not directly under your shoulders, which tends to make your dog very short. So you can bring your hands a little bit forward. Make sure the toes are tucked, and we're linking with breath, of course, inhaling. On your exhalation, use the strength of your arms, press into your hands, bend your knees and send your hips back. Pause, breathe in and out. Exhaling, replace the knees back down to the earth. And it might feel nice here to take a little arched position, cow pose. Lift the sits bones, lift the gaze. And come back to neutral. We'll do that again. This time I'm going to take a look. Now that I've demonstrated once, inhale, exhale, press into your hands, lift your hips. Initially, the knees are bent. If you're on the floor, pressing your chest back towards your thighs. Feel free, sorry if I didn't mention this already, feel free to lengthen the legs. Feel free also to come down to hands and knees at any time. Let's all come down now. Hands and knees again. Take that nice arched shape of the spine coming into cow pose. Yes, lifting sits bones, letting the belly be a bit soft, and gazing forward, a little bit up. And last time, one more dog. This will be an option for a longer hold if you choose to. Remember, if it's not working for you, it's not working for you. You don't have to do it. Inhale, exhale, lift your hips up and back. Take your version of a held downward facing dog. This could be at a chair. I see some of you are at chairs or at the wall. That would be lovely. And pause. Straight arms. Kamala, can you straighten your arms more? That's it. Nice. You just happen to be at an angle where I could really see you well. And one or two more breaths here. Feel free to come down at any time, of course. And if you haven't already, please do return hands and knees down to the floor. And we are going to release down onto our bellies. So coming down onto your belly, I think everyone, at least if you were in class last week, or if you've been in my classes before, you know Sphinx pose. Again, always an option to do Sphinx from standing if you prefer not to come to the floor. So standing Sphinx would be elbows right in front of shoulders and releasing hips towards the wall. So there's your standing Sphinx if that works better for you. If you're coming down to the earth, elbows under shoulders, same thing. Feet about hips distance apart, and we're not collapsing. If you've seen those statues of sphinxes in the Met or any other museum, think about that quiet watchfulness as they gaze forward. As best you can, finding that arc, not just in the low back, which is more available to most of us, but can you find a little bit of curve in your upper back? And it's not this kind of curve, it's reversing that curve. And release from Sphinx, come on down to the floor, cross one arm over the other, rest your forehead, let your legs relax, and breathe. Feel the fullness of the breath, fill the back body as you inhale. You might even feel those ribs expanding outward. Exhaling, soften, release the breath. Maybe sinking more deeply towards the earth. Inhaling, feel that nice expansion in the back body. And exhaling, releasing the breath. One more time. Nice full breath. And we are going to come to Cobra pose. So Cobra pose is very similar. You can do this at the wall as well, if you're not a person who's coming to the floor. Now the palms would be at the wall, right in front of the shoulders, or if you're on the floor, palms directly under the shoulders. Elbows are up, close into the sides of the body.
Gene, I have to leave.
Inhalation, reach your heart forward, lift chest, shoulders, neck, head. Exhaling, release, come back down. Try not to pop up with the head first. Let's lead with the chest, shoulders, neck, head. Exhaling, release, come back down. And last time, chest, shoulders, neck, head, little pause in Cobra. Very healthy for almost everyone's back. Doesn't have to be a big Cobra. You could be close to the ground. Pausing, breathing. And releasing. Fold opposite arm on top. Release forehead. Let legs relax. You might want to sway your hips a little bit from side to side, especially if you're feeling any sense of discomfort in your low back. And return to that even breathing in and out. Taking a little rest here to concentrate before we come onto our backs. Before you come onto your back, I don't come onto my back, so I'm going to demonstrate from standing what we'll be doing, and you will need a strap. So just make yourself come into a position where you can see, and then I'll talk you through it when you're on your backs, for those who choose to be on their backs. So imagine the wall is the floor. You'll be lying on your back. You'll draw one thigh in towards the chest. You'll place the hand on the knee, and you'll bring it out to the side. Arm can be in a T position. Bring it back to center. We'll go back and forth a few times. Out to the side, into the center, out to the side, into the center, and of course not that fast. Then you'll take your strap and you're going to loop it around ball mounds of that same legged foot. And we'll extend long. Leg is long. We'll enjoy the stretch here for a few breaths. Take both sides of the strap in one hand. Leg will go out to the side, come back to center. And now we're going to bring that leg across the other way, not too much. So for those of you who've practiced yoga before and maybe have rolled all the way onto the opposite hip, we're not doing that. We're just bringing that leg a little bit across so you feel a pretty distinct stretch on the outside of the hip. Come back to center, bend, release. So let's come on to our backs. I'll talk you through it. Just make yourselves comfortable. No need to be in a hurry. And if you're like me and you don't want to come down to the floor, that's fine. You can do a variation of this from the chair. So first we are bending both knees. Soles of both feet on the floor. Keep the left foot exactly where it is. Draw the right thigh in towards the chest. Right thigh in, you can take hold behind the thigh and just draw that thigh in a little bit closer, breath by breath. And then placing the right hand on the right knee, let that leg fall open to the side as the left arm comes out into a T position on the floor. That's it. Head down on the earth and bring that knee back up to center. If any of you would like to extend the left leg long on the mat, feel free to do that. Leg open to the side, it's still bent. That's it. Inhaling back to center. And just do that one more time. Leg open to the side. And inhale back to center. And now we're just switching it up, taking hold of the strap. Strapping around ball mounds. And extending the sole of the foot up towards the sky. Leg is long. There might be a little bend in the knee if you're tight in the hamstrings, but leg is long. Foot is flexed. One hand on either side of the strap. Try not to bend the elbows. If you can walk your hands up the strap so your arms are long, that could be nice for the shoulders as well. Breathe. Take both sides of the strap now into the right hand. Leg comes out to the side. Opposite arm into a T position. Opposite leg can be bent or straight. Come on back to center. Take both sides of the strap now in your other hand. And let that leg come just a little bit across the body. It's not a big twist, which some of you may have done. Opposite arm comes to the floor. Leg is still straight and foot is active. It's part of the pose. Yes, nice, everyone. For those who I can see. Come back up to upright, please, and bending the knee, foot to floor. Take the strap off, bend both knees again. Second side, drawing, we don't need the strap yet. Remember, the first part is with bent knee. So drawing opposite thigh in, your left thigh in towards your chest. Knee is bent. Placing hand on knee, let that knee come out to the side. Right arm can be in a T position. And inhale, come on back up to center. And open out to the side. Getting some nice opening in the hip joint as you move the knee to the side and back to center. Now taking your strap, interlacing strap around Ball Mound's left foot. Stretch that leg up long. Right leg can be bent or straight, that's your choice. If you have any low back issues, any difficulty with back pain, keeping the leg bent is recommended, the right leg that is. Arms long on the strap, walking hands up towards your foot more. That's it, Hetty. Foot is active. Take both sides of the strap in your left hand. Let the leg fall open to the side as the opposite arm comes into your T position. And I know some of you are very flexible in this way, but try not to let that leg come all the way to the floor, which might happen for some of you. It's a combination of strength and flexibility. Brief hold with that leg open to the side. Inhale, bring the leg back up. And now switching the straps into the opposite hand, bring the leg just that little bit across the body until you feel a sense of stretch in the outside of the hip. And pause. Come all the way back up to upright. Bend the knee, take the strap off the foot, place both feet on the floor. And I invite you to take any last sequence that would feel good for you right now before we take relaxation. So it could be drawing both thighs in towards the torso. It could be a long stretch on the floor. I see a lot of people doing knee sways, so swaying knees from side to side, or taking knee circles. Maybe you're familiar enough with Apanasana that you'd like to do that. Whatever feels good right here in this moment before I ask you now to come to stillness, set yourself up for relaxation. For most people, that will be stretching the legs long on the floor. You can certainly put a folded blanket under your knees or put your calves on a little bit of height, a chair seat. Feels really nice in this hot weather to let the arms be wide in Shavasana in our rest pose. So make sure the arms aren't too close to the body. At least 8 inches, maybe wider. Turn your attention inward to your breath. And I asked you to notice the rhythm of your breath when we began. The inhales and the exhales. For some people, the inhalation is naturally longer. Mine is. For some people, the exhale is naturally longer. And for some people, those two parts of the breath are pretty much in balance. For this breathing practice where we actually guide the breath, I'm asking you to extend the length of your exhalation. That's one way that we can access the nervous system for stress reduction. Inhaling a normal breath, exhaling just a little bit longer. I'll suggest a count, you can use it or not. Inhaling 2, 3. Exhaling, 2, 3, 4, 5. Inhaling, 2, 3. Exhaling, 2, 3, 4, 5. If that feels too slow or fast, make your own count. Eventually, perhaps working so that the exhale is twice as long as the inhale. A few more rounds, counting or not, extending the exhalation. Take one more round of breathing with your extended exhalation. It's also a great way to keep the mind focused when you're counting the breath. Now releasing all need to control or guide the breath. Let it be its natural rhythm. Let the body relax completely, keeping the mind quietly focused inward. Please allow breathing to begin to grow deeper. Bring movement into fingers, toes, ankles, and wrists. Rolling over onto your side body. Rest for a moment there. Make sure your head is supported either with your arm or a blanket. Pressing one palm and the other down into the earth. Please lift yourself back up to upright. Coming into your comfortable cross-legged position, ideally sitting up if you still have that blanket within reach on a little bit of height. Find your seated mountain, long spine, relax shoulders, bring hands together at heart center. Gently pressing palms together, sliding thumbs a little bit up the sternum. Find your length. And let's close with one Om together, breathing in. Om. One more full breath in. Exhaling with the peace, equanimity, and stress release of yoga. Namaste. Thank you all. If anyone has any comments or questions, feel free to unmute yourself. Otherwise, I will see you back here next Friday